If you went skydiving and you had no parachute, can you say with absolute certainty that you'd survive the fall? As you think over that answer, skydiving without a parachute is exactly what the UN Environment says the world is doing as the Earth continues to heat up. On the sidelines of the COP26 summit in Glasgow, the UN agency has called for more deliberate financing to countries in the developing world in order to enable them survive climate change. Zainab Wandati with that update from Glasgow, Scotland.
While COP26 delegates scratch their heads about how to cut carbon emissions as per the Paris Agreement, the UN Environment is urging countries to not only focus on adaptation and mitigation of climate change, but to also prepare these same countries for the effects of climate change, which are already being felt across the world. Because even if the tap of the greenhouse emissions were to be turned off today, the effects of climate change would still be felt for decades to come.
And we're already seeing, some very serious devastating impact across our country, across our continent. And so the least we can do as a country is take climate change more seriously, put it up the political, agenda in a way that we can plan better for it. I think we haven't done enough preparedness in terms of risk preparedness for us to be able to mitigate some of the worst predicted climate impact. We will need to build our adaptive capacity so that we have a resilient community, but also a resilient economy that is able to withstand, but more importantly, recover from some of the worst impact of climate change.
I come from the most affected and regions, and also a place where people have to deal with the worst impacts of the climate crisis. So as young people, I think it is important that our voices get to be heard, because we are the ones who will have to live longer with the consequences of the inactions of the world today and the consequences.
Well, a key area of concern at this meeting is how poor countries will be financed to adapt to the changing climate. The bone of contention at this meeting is where that funding will come from and how much. Now, the UN Environment has just released a report that indicates that these poor countries will need up to 10 times more money in order to adapt to the effects of climate change. In 2015 in Paris, the rich countries committed to $100 billion every year financing that would go to the developing world to help them adapt and mitigate the effects of climate change. But 6 years since that meeting in Paris, and that target has fallen short by at least 20%. But the developing countries are not giving up just yet.
I believe that this COP may deliver the finances that we need, the technology transfer, and most important, adaptation methods that can make us move to the next level. We might talk about carbon emissions, but what translates to the human being in Kenya is about what will bring food on the table, what will end conflict over natural resources, and most important, turn around our livelihoods.
Already the world has warmed by at least 1.1 degrees, and at this point there's no country in the world that can say it hasn't felt the impacts of climate change, be it flooding, be it droughts, be it heat waves, you name it. And so far, these rich countries that committed $100 billion have only provided just over $79 billion. And this is why the UN Environment is likening this situation to skydiving without a parachute. Zainab Wandati, NTV, in Glasgow, Scotland.